generations. And now, the power of two restores the one.
We got a bidet. Hey everybody, and welcome back for another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about something that could be very scary. And if you are a casual Disney fan, you're going to want to know how this may affect you moving forward. What this video is centered around is who's going to be in charge of the Disney property. So, or IP, I should say. And right now, it is, Bob Iger, and he came in basically to try to pick up the pieces from Chapek, because he really left it in shambles in a way. Because, Chapek basically was doing a lot of, I would say, gotcha things for more money, and he was trying to get very, very political. And there was a fight in Florida with the governor, and it was just a mess. And so Iger came in and basically tried to right the ship back to the correct way that they're supposed to be going. Because, of course, Iger had done this before. He knows how to run the company, even though he made some choices that people may or may not agree with. Hence, getting rid of Disney Infinity. I was not a big fan of that. But we should understand what does this mean moving forward, because eventually Bob Iger is not going to be the one in charge of Disney. They are actively looking for somebody to replace him. And I believe they're looking to replace him by 2026. There hasn't been a whole lot of names that are floating around, but one of the names that you should be aware of is Andrew Wilson. Who is Andrew Wilson? Andrew Wilson is the person in charge of EA, Electronic Arts. It's a video game company. Now, you may be sitting there thinking, that's a video game company. I don't play video games. Not going to affect me. Yes, it will. Why? Because you need to know, how does EA run its company and how do they make the big chunk of their money? Because that's going to transition most likely into Disney. So, EA is known for microtransactions in their sports games. That is how they make tons and tons of money. We're talking billions of dollars. What does this mean? It means if you were to play like Madden, for example, the football game, and in Madden there are card packs, and you can unlock different players for different skill levels and tiers, and you can pay money, like your actual money, to get more and more of these cards. So, needless to say, the more money you throw at the game, the more likely your team is going to be better than somebody else's if you play online. So, EA has become very, very well known for these money grabbing scenarios. If this CEO switches over to Disney, I can tell you right now, if you think they are nickel and diming you for every little thing in the parks, just you wait. I would almost be willing to bet money that if he were to come into the Disney IP and become the CEO, a lot of the things probably at the parks that are considered free right now, I would consider to get some sort of charge in the future, or at least add it onto your hotel as a fee. For example, what's something that he could do? And I hate potentially giving ideas, but this is what you may be experiencing in the next couple of years if he is picked. You know how you get to your resort hotel and you use the bus system? They may add a fee to use those buses. Right now it's kind of like, oh, you pay the resort, you pay the money to use the hotel, and then all the transportation is free. There's a chance that he may put some sort of charge on there. Maybe it's $1 per person or 50 cents per person to ride Disney transportation to wherever. That seems very minimal, and it seems like it is not going to affect things very much. But big companies nickel and dime their ways to big, big amounts of money. And so I could definitely see, if you plan to go to Disney World for a trip and you're there for 5 or 6 days, whatever it is, and you use the busing transportation, which means you're not paying for parking and you're not paying for, well, I would say parking at the park or parking at the hotel. So that's an expense that you get to skip as somebody that is, taking an Uber or a shuttle into the park and then using Disney transportation while you're there. Because you're not paying into those parking fees, I could definitely see them starting to charge money for the transportation, where you do either a set amount each day or they try to do some sort of, all-inclusive vacation bundle where, I don't know, you pay $5 and you get to use it as many times as you want while you're there. I don't know. So that's something very small that they could add into there that would make them more money, but seem like nothing to us as the consumer. But those are the kind of things you're going to have to be worried about if Wilson comes to become the CEO. Where else could that transition to? Well, it could definitely transition into Disney video games. Now, there is one thing that I think could be positive out of this. I mean, the dude has ran a video game company for a handful of years now, at least. Maybe he could bring some life back into the Disney video game department. Right now, Disney, for the most part, licenses out their properties and just collects money on a license. They don't make a lot of their own video games like they used to. They used to have Avalanche Studios where they would make Disney Infinity, and they shut that down. So they really don't have much where they can make their own stuff. And so maybe he could bring back a video game division and find a way to make Disney relevant again in the video game uh, business. Disney used to do a whole bunch of video games. If you go into a retro game store and you look at like PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, PS1, GameCube, all that stuff, guaranteed there are tons and tons of Disney video games in there. Why? Because they used to make a whole bunch. And the reason why they shut it down is because Bob Iger thought that Disney never made good video games, which was quite the slap to the face to a lot of those people that made video games for Disney. But in their heyday, Disney used to actually be known for really, really good video games. Back in the like Super Nintendo era with Aladdin, Lion King, Toy Story. There's a lot of games there that they were known for. So maybe Wilson can bring back a video game division and that could help us out. However, that also brings the fear of potential microtransactions. So there's already Disney games out there right now that have a good handful of microtransactions. I'm looking at you, Speedstorm, because your microtransactions got so out of hand that I actually quit playing that game. But look out for stuff like that. What else could he affect? I think it probably could affect movies. I do think that the movies are going to be shifting towards more looking at the movies that made tons of money and just focusing on that. So, one of the things that people have complained about Disney products as of late is that, the a lot of people want more original films, whereas Disney keeps pumping out sequels. Why? Because sequels have been making way more money than the standalone films that are, creating their own IPs. That could be something that Wilson follows as well. Could follow the trend of seeing the movies that make a whole bunch of money and sticking with those and doing a lot less of the new IPs. So that could be another thing he brings to the table. So again, if you are a casual Disney fan, these are different ways that you could be affected in the future. So, needless to say, if you think you are being nickeled and dimed right now, just wait if this guy comes to becomes the CEO. Part of me is very scared if he does. Um, but I also have hopes that he can do something to make the company better. I do not believe that CEOs come in and just want to destroy an IP. They don't want to be the one known for that. So I do think he'll at least try to make something better. It's just that I think a few things along the way will not be good. But if you enjoyed this type of video, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Drops a like if you liked the video and drops a comment letting us know your thoughts on the future CEO of Disney. Did you like Bob Iger? Personally, I think there's some things he did that were great, and there's some things that he did that were awful. So I know there's really the back and forth there. Another big thing that I really didn't like that Iger did is when he bought Star Wars from George Lucas, they kind of promised George that they were going to use his stuff, and then they completely lied to him. And I do fault Iger for that. So, just kind of be wary of who is in charge. And then, as always, everybody, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.